Hey everybody, this is Patty Negri. Welcome to the Witching Hour. Yes, the hour of the day when the veil is thin and magic happens. This week, I have to tell you, I have one of my favorite people on the entire planet here with us. The one and only Tim Shaw. He is a psychic medium. He's a paranormal investigator, an author, a filmmaker. He collects haunted things, a media personality, and truly one of the most magical, guys I have ever met. Welcome to the show, Tim.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you so much. I'm thrilled that you asked me on. You know what?
Yeah.
We really bonded in the Detroit terminal. Patty and I,
Take a bathroom.
yeah, believe it or not, for those of you that don't know, Patty and I spent a sorted 28 hours in the Detroit terminal this past August when tornadoes hit. So you can never get that close to anybody except in emergencies. And besides, Patty,
Emergency. It was great. Everybody who worked at the airport left us. There was no hotels. We're stuck in a big empty airport and the tornadoes hitting down. I had never been in a tornado in my life. And it was like evacuate and if to tunnels, there's no tunnels. So we all went into the ladies' room. You, me, Johnny Zaffis. We found wheelchairs to like be dead corpses in. It was
perfect. It was perfect. It's one of those stories that you get to tell people and they just go, "What?
What?
What?"
Yeah.
I said, listen, a psychic, a witch, and a demonologist get stuck in the terminal one day during the tornado. Sounds like the world's worst joke, but it was the truth. But it was great. It was fun.
Complete truth. And it was freezing. And one
yeah.
airport employee before they left gave us these little thin blue blankets. So again, those seats that you can't lay down in. So we brought these little wheelchairs in and we covered ourselves. We look like corpses.
We did that one photo that one lady took of us. It looked like a morgue.
Yeah.
It looked like a morgue. Everybody was just covered over our heads. And by the way, those little, I still have my little blue blanket. It's going in my case of memories. I'm just going to let you know.
I still have it. We stole the blue blanket.
The infamous blanket.
So yeah, we've done that. You're my only person I've done that with. You are the only person I have been inside the world's largest planchette.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, Paracon, the world's largest Ouija. It was very fun. So if everybody doesn't know, you've been in this industry forever. You were kind of born and raised in the magical, mystical Lilydale. So were you just kind of born into that? For those who don't know your
basically
history?
Yeah, because it's funny because the religion of spiritualism has been in my family since the 1880s. He always, I think they were they were Anglican, basically. My mom's family was Christian, but my father's side always had a very strong belief in, the spiritualist religion and all, and they had a healthy respect for it, where my mother's side really wasn't. So I was brought up Roman Catholic, but we got a chance to visit relatives down in Lilydale, like during the summer, and that was like phenomenal. Oh my God. And well, I used to get in a lot of trouble down there during what they call the season when it's open and tourists come down there and they get readings and they take classes and stuff. We used to get in all sorts of trouble. So they enrolled us in Sunday school, which is called Lyceum. And from there, it just flourished within me. I mean, I got a chance, children's seances, which are a little different. I mean, you're done during the day and it's kind of, they do it to go and teach you not to be afraid of physical phenomena and stuff that goes on. And as you know, as well as I do, I mean, phenomena happens. Seances don't have to be in the dark, but I got a chance to go and really learn about all the pioneers of spiritualism. And of course, spiritualism started here in Western New York. And it's probably about an hour and 15-minute drive to the Fox family foundations, where the house was, where all of this, the spirits had come down to talk with the Fox sisters. And so it's really seeped in so much history and ingrained in me. And I was probably 9 or 10 years old when I really got my first taste of it. And I got a chance to see all the old timers. Oh my God, these people were great. And, it just stuck. And I've always had this fascination with it. And I just I never turned it off. And you know what my favorite all-time TV show still is to this day, Patty? Kolchak the Night Stalker. I never thought in a million years that I would be a real life Kolchak the Night Stalker. I mean, I'm
I
still to
love
this day, I'm
that.
just like, it's like childlike wonderment. I'm 66 and I just laugh about it constantly because it's like, oh my God, I've become that. I've become that character.
Oh my god, I love that. Yeah, and again, I can't believe I haven't been to Lilydale or and because I've always been just
Mhm.
so fascinated by it. And you again saved me. You saved me today, actually, but you saved me last year
Yeah.
when I knew I was doing a séance and I was doing a meet. All of a sudden, I'm advertised that I am table tipping at Vulture City. I'm like, I don't table tip. My table weighs 700 pounds in my dining room. I've never even attempted it. Who do you call? Tim Shaw. And he's like, "You've got this, do this, feel the ectoplasm." And it worked. So again, bathrooms, table tipping, last minute
You
get
never you
here.
listen, you never know where I'm gonna show up next. I think that's the funny part of it. But that's what you know what?
Yeah.
That's all part of like reliving the childlike wonderment of what we do. And if anything is really magical, Patty, it's that never losing that childlike wonderment. And when you have that curiosity and when you have, you see that magic is real, not just like spell magic and that, but magic is all around us. And we live in magic,
Mm.
we live magical lives if we allow it. That to me is so fulfilling. And, I retired, probably 7, 8 years ago. And I took an early retirement after 30 some years. But the idea is I always said, I'm going to live that magical life and I'm going to live my passion. And my passion has always been magic and meeting magical people and searching out these mysteries and curiosities. And, one thing led to another. And our paths crossed, and it was like, "Oh my god," because I got a chance to go and actually Patty Negri. I always I was because I
Ah,
remember when I first met you in the airport, I was like a fanboy going, "Oh my god, Patty Negri."
yes, Mutual Admiration Society. I did the same with you. The Timothy Shaw, the Reverend Timothy Shaw. Again, we have so much in common. We're both
Yes.
Ouija collectors. You have a lot more haunted things than I do. I don't. You've got a whole haunted collection and museum.
I
So how did you?
can
Uh,
you see
I mean,
can you see part of my collection behind me?
I, I see they're moving around in the. But that is how did you go there? I mean, I understand the spiritualist and the being the medium and
Mhm.
seances, but the paranormal world we both live in is slightly a little left of that, a little left of center. How did that happen for you, becoming a paranormal investigator and haunted
You know
things?
what? I hate to call them blue hairs because they're all my age way back then, all these older ladies and stuff. Well, they were always looking for talent, and I'll just go talent. People that were really, I won't say good. You didn't have to be good. You don't have to be good to do what we do, but people who were dedicated to it and people really who took it seriously. And I was probably like 13 years old when I was asked to be part of a spirit rescue circle. And that's like a little paranormal investigation. Of course, I mean, you didn't use any of the, you know, meters that we use, but you use seance and use dowsing rods and use all sorts of things of that nature. And it was the whole idea was to get together and do this contact work and help the spirit that may be I won't say infesting, that's the wrong word for it, but maybe self landlocked into a location, help it go on so that the family is at ease, the spirit is at ease. And that's where mediumship comes in because that's our job. Mediums are to be of service to the living as well as the other side. And I was a young teenager when they asked me to be part of that. And that stuck. Patty, that stuck. I remember being in some of these places and seeing, you know, things slide off the table and I got dripped on by something, there was nothing on, over the top of me. I don't know what it was. It was a gooey, like clear substance. I always remember that. And these were all things that we had a chance, that I got a chance to experience. And then, of course, I mean, direct voice phenomena and hearing this stuff and being touched and poked and that. And I didn't get scratched until like years later when I was doing like negative cleansing work, but to be able to go and help. And it just opened my eyes to the fact that there's something beyond, this life. We're just, we're caterpillars. The minute that heart stops and the brain stops functioning, boom, we're gonna, this energy goes on. Einstein and physics teaches that, energy energy doesn't die, it just changes form. And I am a huge proponent of that spirit energy, magical energy, intent energy. That's how, for us, in order for us to live properly, we use that. We harness that energy, and that is what is so wonderful about it. And that's how I ended up getting into paranormal investigation. Next thing I know, I'm asked to be, well, you want to do, you want to do some mediumship, you want to kind of, you know, figure out where things are going. Sure. Next thing I know, I'm getting like, I'm spending thousands of dollars on equipment because it fascinates me.
Yeah.
This whole thing fascinates me. So it's like, you just get suckered into like that, you just need more. You need these little aids to just keep that curiosity going. And there's nothing better than I was just telling you about that bell that was ringing in, in,
I
in my house.
know.
And it's like, it's like, okay, I understand how this works. Oh my God. And it's working. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know,
And I like the confirmation. I love the bell. It's like a little hotel bell, but it's like an EMF
right.
meter. I'm old school too. I'm
Yeah.
seance, mediumship, dowsing rods. But what I like about and I'm not very technical, but that's why your bell looks great. But what I like is it gives confirmation.
Mhm.
Like, I could be saying for years, oh, the ghost is crossing their arms in front of their face. You believe me or you don't believe me.
Yeah.
Now there's a guy with an SLS camera in the other room who can't see me. With a little green stick figure where the
Exactly.
spirit is crossing their
Exactly.
arms. It's like, yes, that's what it is. So
It builds the
it's great.
validation for people because, your modern paranormal investigator, and I've been doing a lot of this year. I did a lot of charity work for locations and stuff like that. And, when you go out there and you're doing charity work and you're doing the public ghost hunts, people who are either, they're some paranormal investigators or they're not at all. They love to see the lights go off and they love to see that, the screens and the stick figure. They love to see that confirmation. And to me, it it's satisfying to me because you and I know that this stuff is there. You and I know what's going on around us. We can feel it. It's going in our brain. It's like all this stuff, like thousands of things hitting us, but yet nobody else sees it. Nobody else gets that experience. And if you're not a psychic or clairsentient or strongly clairsentient, you're not going to get that. But when this stuff happens, it just validates that there's something out there. And you know what's great about it? I have gotten so many more people that have at least tried going to like spiritualist churches or have tried to go to
Yes.
covens or have tried to go to like metaphysical classes because they came in and they saw that. They heard what I had to say and then they came in and they experienced it and they were like, wow.
It's back
And
and
it
forth.
expands their minds. And that's what's important. That's what's important.
That we are, because we both do a lot of paranormal conventions
Mhm.
and things, the paracons. And that's what I notice. Because people, we know that times are scary. Tables have always been scary. And
Yeah.
like, they've always been
Yes,
scary, but
yes.
now they're scary 24/7 bombardment. Pandemics and wars. So people traditionally would go back to their faith, go back to church or temple
Right.
or whatever.
Exactly.
That's not working for everybody. So again, the alternative, witchcraft, new age, so new alternative, that's great. Some people don't even want that. I don't want spirituality. I don't want religion, but I want to know there's something more than this. I want to know if we get blown up tomorrow or the aliens land, I want to know that they're becoming paranormal investigators. They want to go on a ghost hunt. Exactly what you said, and then they go, and then they see it's real, and then they'll backdoor into a belief system that helps guide
Right.
them.
Right.
It's like the new religion.
People get pulled into these things. And you know what? I always tell people, I always tell my students, because I always get students that come in and they're like, they're really, rooted in a religion. And I said to them, I said, listen, it's a universal truth. What we're experiencing are universal truths. The only difference is that, and I've had these discussions with exorcists that I've worked with. The only difference is the names was what we call them. And I had I went to this phenomenal lecture years ago, and it was given by a former Jesuit theologian from Georgetown University. And the question came up was mediumship. Is it evil? Right? He stopped, he took a breath, he looked at us, and he said, if you want to know what true mediumship is, read the life of the saints. Go ahead, just read the life of the saints. And he goes, and then compare it to what you've experienced and what you know. I looked at him, and all of a sudden it was like, I had the bulb over the top of my head glow, because it was
Yes.
like, oh my God, it's all the same. It's just called different stuff. That's all. That's all it is. And I always tell people religion is created by man, usually to control the masses. It always starts off good, but control always comes in because man is built that way. But spirituality is something that is a covenant between you and what your true core beliefs are. And it doesn't mean that you have to go to church or you have to do this or you have to worship or whatever. I mean, my wife and I just took an hour walk in a nature preserve before I came on the show. And to me, that's a church. And you know yourself, many
Definitely.
of the natural faiths, a lot of the traditional craft faiths are all based in nature. And to me, to go out there and spend that time and to watch a sunset or a sunrise, that's true. That's true religion.
That is me. We are like the same person.
But
Uh,
you got better hair than me. I'll tell you that much.
yeah, yeah, no, that is my church too. I get out up to Lake Hollywood every day, count the deer, just
Mhm.
that is my religion. But yeah, it's just a different template to me.
That's it.
You want to put in a Christian template, you want to put a New Age, you want to put a witchcraft or pagan template. My grandfather was this famous atheist, humanist,
Mhm.
philosopher, very academic, and he was a scholar, educated in every religion, scholar, but he came from a none of it is real perspective versus I come from a everything is real. You find it out with whatever. But I read his works now, and it's like, oh, Grandpa, you believe the same thing. You just use science words and academic
Yep.
words, but those
Yes.
universal truths are the same.
Mhm.
It's
Exactly.
whatever works for you to navigate your life. Yes, religion turned into control of the masses, but I think spirituality and however you want to choose it is so you can navigate
Exactly.
your
And
life.
that's the problem. Too many people are pablum fed. And I always say, and again, you don't ever throw the baby out with the bathwater, because I get a lot of Christians, and I've worked with Christians, and I loved working with. I had a Pentecostal that I used to work with, and they used to put him with me whenever they were mad at me because they thought they were punishing me. But it was great because I knew I was going to work with them the next day. So I would go and find something in the Bible that I really wanted to talk to him about. Like, okay, let's talk about this. What about this crucifixion? Well, what about the resurrection? Let's talk about the resurrection. Well, he would go on, and I would learn from him. It was great. But when I retired, he said to me, because I'm going to really miss talking to you, you know, because of the fact that every religion has truths to it. And if you can
Mhm.
go and you can start bridging those gaps and bridging those absolutes, all of a sudden now everybody's starting to look at it. And and he really sat there one day and said, you really believe in miracles? I said, oh my God, do I ever? I said, miracles happen every single day. The intercession of saints or praying to a deity. And just because, you know, you have a 3-in-1 deity and I have like 1,000 deities, it doesn't make a difference. It's all one universal thing. And he goes, wow. He goes, yeah. He goes, there's not a whole lot that's differing us. The divinity of Jesus Christ is probably the largest separation that I've actually, I've actually experienced with my friends that are Pentecostals and Christians. But otherwise, everything else is great. And that's why we all get along. And there's those, if you follow those truths, you will never, ever, ever go wrong. You'll never go wrong. You'll just never go wrong.
I agree wholeheartedly. That is great. And you, again, going back to the mediumship, you teach people like psychic development and mediumship too. And
Yeah, I do.
I know you're,
Yeah. And you
yeah,
know
it's
what?
been,
I don't teach the one-on-one classes anymore. And the reason why I don't teach the one-on-one classes is because uh Bec to me, it's so commonsensical that it's hard for me to teach somebody how to do it, but once you start doing it, so I like other people to get that groundwork in. So I teach mostly now advanced mediumship classes. Like, I love my favorite thing to teach, Patty, my very favorite thing to teach is, okay, we're in a historical location. So we'll go to a historical location and I'll go, tell me what you feel. Who's here? And they'll start describing a person. I said, okay, tell me what they're wearing. And they'll start describing what this person's wearing. I said, okay, now is this person modern or from that time period? He goes, what do you mean? Is this person projecting themselves, this entity or spirit projecting themselves modern or authentic? And I'll never forget the look on this one guy's face when I said, well, look at his crotch. And he goes, what are you talking about? I said, look at his crotch. Is it a zipper like pants or are they buttoned? Is it a button fly pant? Is it held up with a belt? Is it held up with suspenders? Are the suspenders clipped or are the suspenders buttons? He started describing it. I said, and that's how you tell. That's how you can tell true when you're at that location. It's this entity didn't happen to come with somebody. This entity, this spirit was there. This is his home. This is where he wants to be. And I love being able to teach them. I love teaching them how to bird dog and go through the house and pick everything up and how to map douse, how to hit all those hot spots. And the other thing, the thing that I most am so proud of myself that I was part of a team, so proud of us that we did this. We found 2 family graves or graveyards, 2 small ones that were lost at the time. And we first map dowsed it. So, we held the pendulum and we had a little pointer on a topographical map, figuring out where everything was. And then we zoomed in on that. And then we went boots on the ground with L rods. And we went and we just kept going back and forth. And all of a sudden we started getting reactions and we had rebar pokers, iron pokers. And I always remember the first time I hit that first stone that was under the ground. And I went, oh, that to me was great because now we've been able to go and reclaim someone's life, someone who lived on this earth. And that to me that was great to do. I mean, it's amazing. And of course, it blows my mind. I don't care and Patty, you're a lot like me because no matter what, when all of a sudden something like that happens, and I call those peak experiences, when something like that happens, it's just mind blowing. And you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. And I get giddy. I get so giddy, you're trying to, I don't want to feed it into my ego and let my ego is big as it is. But when you do that, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this, or we did this, or we were a part of a group that did this. So yeah, it's so much, it's just so much fun. And again, this is what comes with keeping that childlike wonderment, not letting go of that because it's so, you know yourself how easy it is to get beat down in this society. And we're bombarded by the world now, which is insane, and the politics and every global stuff, the warfare and everything. We need that childlike wonderment to keep our hope alive, to try to keep that civility that we need to become better people and to evolve better as spiritual people. We need to keep that alive. And that's how you do it, because those little tiny peak moments, that is what reinforces it. And that's, you say to yourself, well, you know what? I'm going to make sure that when I see Patty walking into the bank, I'm going to say good morning to her and I'm going to make sure I open the door for her. And that's all it takes.
Yes. Yeah, no, we are the same way. Keep the spirit of an 8-year-old. I don't ever want to get jaded like, yeah, I did that. How boring is that?
Exactly.
It's
Exactly. And you know what, Patty, it's great because you're a huge influence on me. You're a huge influence on me because I watch you and I see what you do. And I know, we're friends now, we get a chance to talk and stuff once in a while. And I get a chance, to know your backstory and what you're doing and how you're doing everything. And I come back home and I say, what a slacker I am, because look what my friend Patty is doing all this stuff. And then that inspires me to sit down and, do what I'm doing. Or, I'm currently writing a short chapter on scrying for my friend Marla Brooks for her next book. And I'll sit down and I'll outline something, or, and I think to myself, my God, if Patty can do all this stuff, I'm retired. I can do this stuff. No. So, yeah.
I don't think you're a slacker, Tim. I don't think anyone would see a picture of Tim Shaw go slacker. No, you are not a slacker.
Thank you.
No, I love that you're a collector. I'm not a big I have one haunted doll, and one thing that was too haunted I gave to Zach for his museum, but we both are Ouija board
Mhm.
people.
I
So
I
how
just got one. As a
do
matter
you
of fact, I gotta tell you this story. So, I'm a big believer that some things are attached to Ouija boards and then some things are
me too.
attached to objects. So, normally, Patty, I will go and I will take these objects and I will leave them outside in the sun. Johnny Zaffis has gone and he's taught me that leave it out in the sun for a few hours. It just calms it right down. And then, of course, I mean, you can bless it or whatever. So yesterday, my friend and I were out and I found this nice Ouija board. You know, it's a Blue Ghost Ouija board, but it's probably from the 60s. You know, it's made up in it's one of the ones that was made up in Salem, you know, by Parker Brothers. I bring it home, leave it in my garage. I should have put it out in the sun, but I didn't. Left it in the garage. Had a weird feeling about it. But I said, well, you know, it'll be all right for now. My poor wife backed into my car. My poor wife
Oh,
backed into my car. Then, after we get, you know, everything all straightened out, you know, I mean, there's some damage on both vehicles, but I mean, they're drivable, you know, it didn't, you know, and thank God, you know, thank you so much that, you know, everybody is safe, you know, and it's only money, you know, well, the insurance will take care. Our cable box blows out. I went, hmm, what have I brought into the house that may have changed things? So guess what's outside out in the
in the sun?
sun getting cleansed, you know, and then when I'm done with you know, when I bring it in, I'll do a blessing on it. But yeah, you know, it's like it's funny, you don't, you know, sometimes you take these things for, you know, granted. And I'm one of those people that, oh, this is a neat piece. I get a good vibe off of this. And you know, I collect a lot of Victorian stuff, a lot of Victorian art and jewelry, and I've got, somebody dug up an old coffin and the and one of the handles fell off, so they sent it to me, stuff like that. And I'll put it in my cases, you know, and just, you know, I don't even think twice about it. And every so often something comes back and says, "Hey Tim, you ought to start being a little more careful what you're doing." So there
Yeah.
you go.
And so
There's a lesson right there that I had to
what
learn
the less
again.
no, I do like that excuse. Next time I hit a curb or bump into a little it was my new Ouija board.
The
I didn't
the
do that. Wasn't like that,
The
right?
Ouija board made me do it.
Let me do it. Yeah, yeah. No, I had this one piece, it was like a voodoo thing, but I had had it for 2 years and it was fine. All of a sudden, I noticed one day, it's like, "Why am I not staying in my office? Why do I wanna take my computer upstairs?
Mhm.
Why do I love my office. I don't love my" and I looked around, I said, "Oh, it's you." It's
It's
you.
you. I know
Well,
it's
it's
you.
you. So, like, I don't need that in my house. So I just called Zach Bagans and I go, "I have this thing. Do you want it?" He goes, "Give me a picture." And I showed him a picture, go, "Ooh, that's a nail fetish hate god. Yeah, I want it." Took it to the museum, gave it to him, and it started acting up that night. But it's got a good home now,
That's a
not
I have
mine.
3 of those. As a matter of fact, I have 3. And
Do
yeah,
you?
I have 3 of them. And, I'll tell you why I don't think I have a problem with a lot of my stuff is because I speak a lot on haunted objects, so I take stuff with me. So, basically what's happening is these objects are going on road
Mhm.
trips, you know?
Well, that
And I think and I talked to a lot of people about it. Talked to Johnny about it, and my friend Kelvin Von Crush, who's an atheist, but he's a oddities collector. He loves stuff like that. We all kinda came to the agreement that I think if you love the stuff, I think because everything is live, you know, I believe that everything is living,
I me
everything's
too, yeah.
vibrating and has a frequency, and I think if you sincerely love this stuff, love the collection of it, love the object, know that, you know, that that I believe that the very essence of that object can feel that most of the time it won't go and kind of build up. Every so often you know, like what happened to you. I get that every so often. You know, I get stuff that moves in my, you know, one of my shelves or my cases or something. But every so often, you know, you gotta kinda just reinforce it. And I have a feeling like the board that I was just talking about, I have a feeling that the board was abused in some way. You know, I think that's what it was, and it's like and to me, it's like an animal that has been abused, and you have to bring it back a little bit, you have to show kindness, and you have to say, "Well, listen, you're coming into my collection. You're not gonna go anywhere. You're gonna be one of I think you're number 86 in my board. I think it's 86. You're gonna be in there. Yes, you'll probably be going into a one of my foot lockers for now, and if I do give you away, it's gonna be given to someone who will respect you, and someone who really wants you. So, that's the way it kinda works, and, for the life of me, that's why I think what happened. I think it was just the influence. I think it just kinda happened. Now I gotta also tell you something that was really neat. So, I put it outside, and I go and I'm doing stuff around the house, and I came back in the garage. I smell chocolate. I never smell chocolate in my garage. Gas, yes, gasoline, old rotting, leaves, old grass, chocolate. It was the strongest, like, hot cocoa that I've ever smelled. And I said to my wife, I said, "Is there anything in the garage that, maybe you brought out there?" She goes, "Geez, no." I said, I smelled hot chocolate. I walked outside, didn't smell, came back in it, and it was just a whiff. And I think what it was whatever was with that Ouija board. I really think that it kind of I think it feels like more at home. And I think it understands now that it doesn't have to be defensive. It's not going to be in some, you know, some basically I found it in an antique co-op, and it was just like they were just like the booth. They just wanted to get rid of it. And I think that's what
Right.
it was. So I got is sometimes you get those little, I guess, little oomph, where it kind of goes and says, well,
Well,
hey,
I
you know,
yeah, and I would probably have a complex if I was a Ouija board. Everybody hates you, and he thinks you're evil and all this stuff. It's like, I'd have a total inferiority complex of, and even yeah. So, and now again, it has a good house, it's loved, it's appreciated there, it gets to act up and they get excited by it.
mhm.
Not in my office.
And also
So then it's
I've got to do some repair work on it. I got to do some rehab work on it. So, it'll be right back to where it was, and I have some old plushés that I can put with it, and it's got the Blue Ghost box on there, and, still with it. So it's really, to me, it's a great piece. So it's gonna be respected here, and I think that's a big clue. And, it's funny that sometimes, like what happened to you, things will be dormant for so long and then flare up. It's like hauntings, just like hauntings. Right person, right place at the right time. For whatever reason, it activates, and there's no rhyme or reason. I have no idea why it happens, but it happens. So you did the right thing. It's going into a museum where other people can enjoy it. That was the right thing. Maybe it was time. Maybe it was just trying to tell you, hey, maybe it's time for me to go on. Maybe
you
it's
wanted a big stage, you wanted
exactly,
a bigger stage.
exactly. You don't know
Wow.
because again, every piece is to me has got its own identity, its own personality. So who knows? And like I say, down here, it's great because, I don't it's not really I call it a museum, a collection, but it's not really a museum, but when friends come over there, they come here, I don't show it to people who are looking for a thrill ride. I only show my collection to people who I know appreciate it. And when they come down there, it's that, and I love it because it's that sense of wonderment, like, wow, this is amazing. Where did you get this? This is beautiful, right down to like the autopsy tools and that sort of stuff.
That is good. Yeah, and I think the word that you said about all of it is respect.
Yes, and respect.
Because everybody wants to be respected, whether you're a human or a spirit or a Ouija board or a thing. And
Exactly.
I think when you have respect that you're gonna be okay with everything, and I think when people don't have respect is when trouble happens,
Exactly.
really. And I mean, I've even been places like, I is that ghost abuse? I'm not sure. What are they expecting? There should be a hotline for this.
Well, I mean, and here's the other thing. The other thing that I've found in my research and my own workings in negative cases, all of a sudden everybody wants to do battle with everything. Everybody wants to get out there, Saint Michael, give me that spear, let's go. And in retrospect, what I found is that most of these entities want to be understood. They want to, they want to get their message across, and usually not a violent way, but sometimes it happens, but they want to get that message across, but mostly they want to be forgiven. They want to be forgiven for doing this. They want to be forgiven for their lives. They want to know that they can go on, they can leave this earth plane pure. Pure. I always call it just pure of soul. And I always tell people, can you can you actually just forgive whatever it is in this house for scaring you, for doing I'm telling you, it is amazing. It is the biggest thing. Listen, Patty, you know me, you know, when it comes to clearing, this kid like runs into these things head first, and I've got all the little, you know, the spells and the rituals and everything I need to do, and all the, I have boxes of crystals that we're going to be burying on the ground, and I have all the, Saint Joseph statues and all this stuff. I have found that forgiveness is the number one best way to
Wow.
go and settle everything down. And what's neat is when I talk to when I'll talk to a client, I'll say, "How's it going?" Because you got to do of course, you got to do your follow up, and they'll say, "Well, it's been active, but it's starting to lessen. It's starting to lessen. It's starting to lessen." And that's what you want. You may not get rid of everything, but it's going to start to lessen. And sometimes it might amp up because of static electricity or whatever
Yeah.
natural things. But if the client is educated on what's going on and is no longer fearful and forgives it and talks to it like a human being, whatever this is no longer going to be in visitation. This thing may go back, to the ethers, or just say okay. And if it's something negative and slimy, it'll say, well, I can't be parasitical here anymore. They're not afraid of me. They're
Right.
treating me like a human being. I can't do this. It's not working anymore. So now if it is parasitical, it's gonna go find its, another place. It's gonna, like attracts like. It's gonna go down some, to some, I hate to say it, but somebody less desirable. I'll just say that.
Yes. Well, yeah, I get it
Yeah,
because it's not being fed anymore. It wants to
exactly.
fear and oh my god, the time is you have to come back really
Anytime.
soon because that's
You know that,
I
Patty.
have still
You
okay.
know that.
Alright, so before we go though, tell everybody if you have anything coming up, anybody could see you at or in or on, or where they can find you online and in this world of the ethers.
I've only got one thing left this year. I'm gonna be doing an open reading day at Paranormal Oddities in Depew, New York on Transit Road. We're gonna do that on Black Friday, after the Friday after Thanksgiving. And I've I'm off a hiatus, so the Black Cat Lounge is heard every Wednesday. I moved this from Tuesday to Wednesday because I'm a gym rat now, so I it's my night
Oh, good
off.
for you.
It's my rest day. So we're on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock, and you can get us on Facebook. My Timothy Shaw. Just go right on Facebook and find me. I will have. I'm revamping my YouTube, and I just started revamping my website, which is www.timothytshaw.com. So that you can find me over there. And otherwise, you know what? If you really want to get a hold of me, take 2 slices of pizza, put it outside, put it on your porch, and I'll come wandering by.
Okay, it's going outside now. You guys, I'm sure everybody loves him like I do now. Like him, follow him, go see him. You have the opportunity. Hopefully next year we'll be doing some things together
Hopefully,
throughout.
hopefully.
And thank you for bringing your magic to the witching hour,
Thank
my
you. Thank you
friend.
for inviting me. It's been an honor. It's always an honor to be with you. Thank you so much.
Ah, my bathroom buddy.
I don't know how that sounds, but it
No,
sounds good to me.
no,